Welcome to another episode here on the Cardheads YouTube channel. I am happy tonight to be with Karn of the Big Three Cards on IG. How you doing tonight?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I know we went back and forth a little bit to get this done, so I'm glad that we're able to lock this time down now and just chat and chop it up a little bit. Why don't you give us a little brief background on yourself and sort of when you got into card collecting, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think I started collecting cards when I was a kid. Same story as basically everyone. I have an older brother. He had a lot of cards, and he left them behind for me. He would open the packs. Then when he kind of stopped having an interest in cards, he left his big boxes of those 3,000 count boxes of random Jordan cards, random hockey cards, Gretzky's, that kind of thing behind. So I actually would color on them, draw on them, things like that. I was a young little kid. I was probably like 6, 7 years old. And then he left behind some Beckett guides and things like that as well. And that's why we all appreciate Dr. Beckett and what he's done in the hobby, because he truly did create this fascinating environment for all of us, because you would sit down and read the Beckett guidebook, and that would kind of add another layer to the hobby. So as a kid, I started looking through that, and I started seeing the values, and I started thinking like, hey, maybe I should stop drawing on these cards and ripping them. And I probably did rip a lot of good cards, to be honest. I was like a little small kid, and yeah, that's kind of how I started. And I remember my brother actually came back and found out how many of the cards I actually just like tore up to pieces, and he got really pissed off at me. So that's kind of like the first origin story of me getting into cards. And then slowly I started getting into sports as I got older. And then I'm from Canada, Toronto. So I just started watching a lot of hockey growing up.
Okay.
And so then I would start looking at all his hockey cards, start looking at the stats at the back. And that's kind of how I learned like math, even. Like I would look at the goals, assists, add it up, see the point totals, see which players were good. And that's kind of where I got my history and knowledge of the sport of hockey. And yeah, that's kind of my origin story there. And then it continues from there as well.
Nice. Very cool. Would you say hockey is it sounds like it was kind of what drew you in and maybe was like that first love. Does it still hold that spot like as your main go-to?
Yeah, hockey and Pokemon especially are probably the most nostalgic for me. So the hockey cards, I definitely, I would start putting them in cases. I would tape them on my wall as a kid in my childhood bedroom and things of that nature. I remember I probably got my first pack, like my aunt bought it from me. I still remember it was like a $12 pack, and it was like the greatest thing ever. And I remember I picked, I don't know how much hockey but it was 2002, I believe. I pulled a Henrik Zetterberg rookie card, which was one of the main rookies of that year. And I took it to my local card shop, and I was a little kid. And the card shop owner actually fleeced me on the deal. Like he took the
Get my ass handed to me. It doesn't feel good.
card. It was like worth like $100 at the time, and he gave me like shiny cards worth like $20. And in hindsight, I was like, oh my god, I gave up this cool card for these $20 shiny cards. But you know what? I like the shiny cards. I remember it was like a game used stick Sundin card involved in the trade. Matt Sundin, who was the Toronto Maple Leafs captain back in the day. And I just appreciated the cards. It wasn't about the values for me at the time. And that's kind of how I just began to love the hobby. Just started collecting as much as I could, learned as much as I could. And my prime collecting years was actually when Sidney Crosby, I'm sure you know who Crosby is. He came out with his rookie card along with a Ovechkin rookie card in 2005, 2006. That was kind of like the peak of my childhood collecting career. And those cards were like even like $200-300 at the time. And it was such like a big deal to find one. And I never did. And it was like one of those things I've always wanted to do. But then you grow up, you start going into high school, you start going to university, things hit the back burner a little bit. And then I rejoined in 2015 for Connor McDavid, who's obviously a big star in the NHL right now. And that's kind of where I met Lou Papa as well. That's where Lou was really big into Connor McDavid in 2015 as well. And he would come to Canada shows. And that's where I met him. And and that's kind of where the actual high end deals and looking at values and actually becoming a dealer started for me was around 2015.
Very cool. So you said that's when the dealer aspect of it started for you. What made you kind of take that turn from just being into it and collecting and loving the cards to, you know, turning it into also business mode as well?
So I've always been like ambitious, and I have kind of a little bit of the grind culture in me. Just growing up, I would always, try to look for opportunities to create a business, for example. And in 2015 actually is not when I started like becoming a dealer, but that's when I started like really appreciating cards as like something that's worth buying. So I actually was a pure collector for 2015 and was a pure collector in 2016. That's when Austin Matthews, who was a rookie, on the Toronto Maple Leafs at the time, first overall pick. That's when I really got into the collecting aspect of things. I literally like did my best to buy as many Austin Matthews cards as I could, but I didn't have that much money at the time. I started with about like $100, $150 in the hobby. And for me, I had to make the decision, either become a collector and I'll have 2, 3 cards, 4 cards, I can hang on to them and hope they rise in value and I can sell them and buy more cards to gain a collection, or I can try to become a dealer and buy and sell so I can actually build up my collection. So the heart of me turning into a dealer was actually to collect more cards. So I wanted to buy more bigger cards. I wanted to get higher end cards. I wanted to touch as many great cards as I could. So that's kind of what led me to that aspect of things. It was honestly just the love of cards and wanting to collect more.
Yeah, very cool. Do you remember the first kind of, not huge, but like the first deal where you were like, oh man, I'm really about to sell this card for, this much money?
Yeah, look, so this is funny. Like my rise in the hobby, look, it hasn't been that long, and I've done a lot, and I've gone into an area where it can deal with pretty high-end cards. And it started with, this will resonate with Canadians a lot more than Americans, but it started with Austin Matthews, which is I was spending like $100 on his rookie card. And I remember my first flip was like for $190. So I made a $90 profit. And I was like, wow, that's great. 90% profit. Like, that's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But what my biggest moment was is actually in Canada, we have Tim Hortons, and Tim Hortons has the 99-cent packs. And I actually pulled a Connor McDavid jersey card out of it. It was like a redemption card. So they actually have like redemptions in those 99-cent packs. And that card was a $600 card. And at that time, that was like huge for me.
Right.
And they actually also had like rookie cards that were like special. Like there's only, so that was Austin Matthews year. And that was the second year that they released rookie cards, like legit rookie cards in the packs. And this is a redemption. So it's called the Austin Matthews SP Tim Hortons rookie card. And that card at that time was going for like $700, $800. So after I pulled the McDavid, I actually pulled the Austin Matthews too. And this is out of a 99-cent pack.
Yeah.
And this is like getting coffee, like getting a pack and a coffee.
Right.
I was extremely lucky that year. And I ended up grading the Austin Matthews card. It got a BGS 10. Ended up selling it for like $3,000.
Yeah.
So I ended up going from like a $90 profit on a card to having like $3,000 in my bankroll. And that's kind of what led me to just continuously buy up. I would go on Kijiji, I would grind and find like young guns of McDavid or Matthews for like $40, $50 under eBay, and take it to Facebook and sell for like $20 more than eBay comps, and just continuously do that until I made a bankroll. And by the end of that year, I ended up actually owning around 90% of every single Matthews rookie card in the whole year. So I was grinding like 12 hours to 15 hours a day to collect and flip and build the collection that I wanted to collect. And then I actually ended up becoming like the Austin Matthews guy in Toronto because I had so many great Austin Matthews cards. And
Right.
yeah, that's kind of it was a slow roll, but it took me a year, and at that time the best card was like 10 grand. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the Cup RPA and a high gloss Young Guns are like the best cards you can get. I remember I got the high gloss for $10,000, and I got the Cup RPA for around like $12,000, and those are like the top of the line you can get. So that was like the hugest thing for me when I did that.
Yeah. That's insane that you pulled the card out of a 99-cent pack and then
Yeah.
got a pristine 10 on it.
Yeah,
That
so that's
that's a
kind of what
come up.
started off. Yeah, exactly. That's huge for back then, and then from there, Austin Matthews cards grew in value. I
Right.
started working with McDavid cards a little bit. Then I started identifying how to collect cards. What are the great subsets? What are the great inserts? What's undervalued? And I started understanding kind of what the market wanted. And to that point, I started probably, I got about like a $50,000 collection by the end of 2016, and it grew to $100,000, and then it grew to like $110,000. So I started getting pretty sizable. So I actually made the decision at that point to sell them all in one shot, and I did. And I went and took my money, and I invested in either, I believe it was a PSA 10 Charizard first edition, or I think I got a PSA 10 Charizard first edition first, then sold that. Then I got a LeBron James Topps Chrome Gold Refractor rookie, which is so I consolidated, took the hockey cards and
Right.
consolidated into a big Pokemon card and a big basketball card.
Yep.
At the time, the PSA 10 Charizards were about $30,000. At the time I was buying it, and the Topps Chrome LeBron James Gold Refractor, I actually got it from Lou. I got it for a cheap price. I won't say it just
Was it raw?
no, it's a BGS 9.5.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah. So I kind of consolidated into those two cards
Yep.
uh, after selling off my hockey collection. And then I also got a Tom Brady SP, PSA 10. I got a Derek Jeter SP foil tops, and a couple of other cards. So I kind of wanted to get a grail of each sport. And then I got
Okay.
a Messi rookie for like $4,000, BGS 9.5. Ronaldo PSA 10 for like $6,000. And this is consolidating from hockey to these other sports.
Right.
And luckily, all those things blew up like crazy
Right.
in like 5-6 months after that. So
Right.
then I just kept on consolidating upwards. So it was kind of always watching the trends, watching what's going on, where the money's flowing, which is where I kind of I feel like that's where I get my leg up, is being open to a lot of genres. A lot of times people look at new things, and the first thing they think is, oh, this is a pump and dump. Number one. Number two, they say no one actually likes this stuff because it's new. And number three, they don't get it, so they don't buy it. Like Pokemon, no one got it at that time. Like there was a lot of niche Pokemon collectors, but sports guys, like when I was buying Pokemon, not a lot of sports guys were buying Pokemon because it just doesn't resonate with them similarly as it does for people in
Right.
my era, right? For us, it doesn't really matter about people always say, how does the value go up? The value doesn't go up based on like an athletic performance like it does in sports, but how value goes up is true collecting. Like the value goes up because there's a pop 133 or a pop 121 Charizard PSA 10, but there's 500 people actually trying to get that PSA 10 for more than 100K or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually want to complete their sets, and that's what drives value. Value is driven by the actual collecting of the genre. So yeah, that's keep nimble, and I look out for what's next, and I learn and master as much as I can every genre I get into.
Nice. Okay, so a couple questions. Do you like to keep it, because you said right there, keep it nimble. Do you like to keep So do you have now a big collection again, like you did with the hockey, or do you like to keep, like you said, just kind of a few pieces that you're holding and then stay kind of fluid with everything else?
Yeah, so I think that's exactly correct. Like I'm always fluid, so I'll have 2,000 slabs, and then I'll consolidate all the way back to having only like 25 slabs, and then I'll consolidate back to having another 500. And
Right.
I'm always fluid and I'm always nimble with it. Like when the lower end stuff was going on, I accumulated lower end stuff and I started grading lower end stuff, but I also had my higher end on the side. So I work all parts of the business. I think it's important to cater to everyone. You don't want to just come across as someone that's lack of a better term, you don't want to be like too pompous or anything. You don't want to be just like, oh, I only deal with high end cards. You know what I mean? Like that's completely fine if you do, but in my opinion, I want to create relationships with everyone in the industry in all sectors, and $10 cards, $50 cards, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. It's fine. If I can, even at card shows, like if there's a kid, I want to be able to
Right.
sell something to a kid as well, right? I don't want to just sell to people that have the money to buy a bigger piece. So yeah, I kind of keep it as open as possible.
Yeah. And before you made that first big sell off of the hockey collection, was that the point that you started? Because it sounds like before that you were really paying attention to the guys coming into hockey, like what
Hmm.
players were anticipating to, have some good careers or at least live up to the hype. Is that the same time that you started also paying more attention to like soccer and Pokemon and basketball and what card sets and players, you know, are deemed, wanted and are sought after?
Yeah, I think I've been a fan of all sports since I was a kid, so I had great knowledge of a lot of athletes in a lot of different sports, and obviously I grew up with Pokemon, so I actually had some good knowledge of Pokemon as well. So I was able to, and because of my brother and Beckett guides, I actually used to read them, and I kind of understood what were the historically significant subsets and inserts. So I really try to master my knowledge and understanding what is important in the hobby, what has that significance and history. And a lot of people always ask me, even today, like what makes a PMG special? I get the Marvel boom is happening, and the little bit of the cutback is happening now too, and there's a lot of heat on some PMGs. But also the reason why PMGs are special is because that was kind of that big insert that really brought the hobby back in 1997. This extremely rare, great looking set that was in this like extremely cheap packs, almost like those Tim Hortons cards I was talking about, just like 99-cent packs, and you could possibly hit these amazing cards. So that's where the value is derived from, that historical significance from 1997, and the fact that people were collecting that set in 97 and haven't stopped collecting it until this day. So there's like 25 years of people accumulating these cards to create those sets. That's where the value is derived from. So I really try to understand the significance of a variety of subsets from a variety of genres. And me personally, I stuck with a few players, even in hockey when I started. I stuck with Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, Crosby, and Ovechkin. Those four, and only those four, maybe a little bit of Mitch Marner. And I did the same thing. I applied the same logic to the other genres. So football, I went for Tom Brady. Pokemon, I went for Charizard only. For basketball, my guy was LeBron, so I went for LeBron only. Baseball, I was a big Jeter fan, so I went for Jeter only. So that's kind of how I went with it. And when F1 came out, I went with Lewis Hamilton only. So I kind of just like went to the top end right away, and the guys that are, in my opinion, have it's less of a prospecting play and more of a play on, is this going to catch on? Messi, Ronaldo. I went after Mbappe and Holland in soccer because I could see their talent and I can understand their transcendence in terms of how important they are for the youth culture of soccer. So I kind of went in that direction because of that. yeah, so I do kind of try to keep it at what I believe is the safest option. Even look, Luca, I get it. Luca's got pretty expensive, but at the same time, you can see his talent, and you can see that there's money behind him as well. And when there's money behind someone, it's a little bit safer because look, protection does happen in the hobby in terms of when people collect certain players, and the player and its cards get protected. So it's smart to go after players that are protected as well.
Yeah, for sure. I like to take that same approach as far as like per sport, um, sticking with, just like a handful at the most people from each sport, and really trying to like zone in on that person. Um, I'm more like the buy and hold type.
Hmm.
I'm also from Massachusetts, so I'm like, I love Brady, I love Gronk, I
Yeah.
love Mookie Betts, I love Xander Bogaerts. And basketball, I like LeBron. I'm a LeBron guy.
That's good to hear. You don't hear that
Yeah,
often
no,
these days. I
I'm a
love that.
LeBron guy for sure.
Yeah, same.
Um, but you made a funny comment back in the beginning about how you used to like tape the cards to your wall. Did you
Yeah.
have a bunch of them everywhere?
Yeah, everywhere, man. And it was like duct tape or something like that too. So my parents would get mad, and when I had to take it all down when they grew a little older, my wall was all
Oh, all
crazy.
spotty. Yeah,
Yeah,
when
all
I was
spotty.
when I was like middle school, sixth, seventh, eighth grade, I was obsessed with Iverson. Like that was
Yeah.
my dude. And that was when ESPN magazine was like at its peak. And I had a subscription and I would go in every month and I would rip out all the pictures of AI. And
Yeah.
I would take tape and put it on the back, and literally my entire wall as a child, you couldn't even see the wall. It was just AI everywhere.
Yeah.
And when you started talking about the cards on the wall, it made me think
I
about
used to
that.
do the same thing, cut out. I'm a huge Toronto Maple Leafs fan now in the NHL, but growing up, my favorite player was a guy named Peter Forsberg on Colorado Avalanche. So I used to do the same thing with him. I actually always have had that collector mindset in me. I used to collect his jerseys. Like I used to try to get like every single one of his jerseys, like every team he's been on, home, away, and I would actually hang up the jerseys in my room and kind of have a collection like that. So I think we all, even the so-called flippers and investors, I like to think that each person in this industry, as much as you see negativity, oh, this guy's just trying to make money, I really do believe that there's some sort of 1% at least, or even 5%. There's some sort of collector nature in each person in this hobby, and everyone has that innate like wanting to have a collection. So I think that's a part of it all too.
Yeah, for sure. So, you touched on like soccer, Formula One, um, Pokemon, Fortnite. What, and again, like not holding you to this, but just when you think through things, what is an area in the sports, um I don't want to just say sports cards, in the card space that you think will have a nice run up, or is due for, like undervalued? Which one do you think is the most undervalued section, right now?
Yeah, so I think look, I've I've been in a lot of markets. I've honestly I know a lot of my soccer cards. I know a lot of F1, I know a lot of basketball, I know a lot of, you know, NFL. I know it all. And I personally have gone back to hockey. Well, I started going back to hockey about 4 or 5 months ago because I saw a real opportunity there. Some will, put their money in WWE right now or things like that, UFC. For me, those are a little bit more risky. There's potential there. You can see UFC is definitely starting to get a lot more genuine interest. WWE, there's nostalgia there. It concerns me a little bit that there are cards from prior years that have been sitting on eBay and no one's been buying them. And now all of a sudden, Prism comes out and everyone wants them. So that's a little bit, to me, a little bit concerning. But there's potential. There's genuine nostalgia there, and you can't fight nostalgia in the sense that when there's nostalgia, you might spend that extra 20% to get something. So look, the Hulk Hogan card, that's like, I remember that stuff when I was a little kid, right? But at the same time, it's risky. And that's why hockey, to me, it is so organic. If you come to Canada and you come to the Sports Card Expo, you'll see literally a mini national going on, and there's true collectors. There's so many people that are buying up the cards and holding them, and they actually really enjoy having them. You don't see a lot of the cards leaving Canada. Reason being, people don't like shipping the cards. People don't like sending cards to the big auction houses. So you don't see them on the internet. You only see them in person. And even then, they're locked up. A lot of them you don't see. The fact that we've only seen one McDavid Cup RPA and the biggest boom in sports cards in the last year, that's an out of 99 card. You've seen probably 12 Luka Doncic's, but you've only seen one McDavid. You haven't seen one Austin Matthews RPA in an American auction because they're all locked up. They're genuinely not around. You don't see the one-on-ones. Even the young guns, which are printed to 50,000, PSA 10s are 1,000, 2,000 pop. If you told me to go gather all the superstars on eBay today, I wouldn't be able to do it. There's just not even on eBay. That not the case for any other sport. So there's actual genuine interest in collector base, and people say people are not interested because the values are so low. That's not true either. There's so much interest, but the money is smart in Canada. They pay what they believe the card is worth. There's no speculation involved in the value. It's organic. It's strong. Not many of the top end cards have lost value in the last 3, 4, 5 years. You're finally starting to see a push in the speculative area. And speculative is a scary word, but at the same time, that's where increases of value come from, is when investors from America or Hong Kong or, wherever it is, start putting in money to invest or hold long term. And you're starting to see the grassroots of that developing. You're starting to see the development of 90s Gretzky inserts being bought up by a lot of whales in the space. And you can see that those collectibles are starting to get hoarded by whales with large collections. And that's kind of the development of something that has future potential value. And what hockey also has is the parallel subsets and inserts from the basketball genre. So we have the exquisites, we have the intimidation nations, we have the limited logos, emblems of endorsements, we have the PMGs, the retro 1997 PMGs, we have all those cards cut above, we have Noise Boys, we have all those cards that is nostalgic to so many card collectors in the 90s. We have those all in hockey. So it's a very easy jump to understand hockey cards by just putting 2 and 2 together and say, look, a Jordan Intimidation Nation is a cool card. So it's a cool card for Gretzky. A Platinum Portrait Kobe Bryant is a cool card. So it's a cool card for Connor McDavid. We have them. They're super rare. They look the same and they look great. And they grade just as difficult as they did in the 90s. And I think that space is what I love. And for example, like in basketball, at limited logos, LeBron rookie is, say, a 9.5 is 500 to 600K based on the patch. Could even be 700K based on the patch. The Topps Chrome rookie in PSA 10 is an $8,000 card. Now we go to hockey. The Topps Chrome of a hockey rookie like McDavid is $4,000 PSA 10. They're called Upper Deck Young Guns cards. But his limited logos, which is the same as LeBron James limited logos, game used, looks great, on card autograph from the top set in hockey, that same card would be $25,000. So we're talking a 5x increase between that premium top of the level, top end card over the base card in PSA 10. While in basketball, it's like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60x difference, right? So that's where I see opportunity and cards being undervalued. Will they have like a rocket ship to the moon? Probably not. Maybe not. Maybe they will. But one thing I can guarantee is they're organic. They're safe space to put your money in because you're not going to see many of them, and there's a true collector base. And if there are wills, which I feel like there are, just based on what I see and what I know, they're looking at that space as well. So the accumulation period is happening, and you're starting to see that rise in hockey cards. So that's kind of where my opportunity is.
Yeah, you made a lot of good points there, and one of them, to the point of the prices maybe not like moving the way that the other sports are. And I don't know, obviously, if this is the case, but it would be one of the first things I looked at, hearing you talk about how these cards just don't become available to even get purchased. If they're not available to get purchased, then there's no purchases happening. So that price isn't able to, move around. So that could be one of, the main reasons why there isn't the sort of price action. But if you just looked at it, at the number, you would be like, oh, there's probably no movement until you heard what you just said. And it's like, okay, well, maybe it's because people are really holding on to them. And so that's a good thing in the long run, if that's what's going on. So that's very interesting. Hockey is not something I pay attention to. So
which is music to my ears, by the way.
Yeah, learning that is very interesting, actually, because, like you said, basketball and football, baseball, I'm not as heavy in, but I know it more than I do hockey. You can basically usually find like any card you want.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting to hear that. It's almost like it sounds like hockey's like its own kind of like niche thing inside of the sports card niche area.
Exactly. And look, if everyone was involved and it was the same way and prices were low and volume was low, then I'll say there is no opportunity. But the fact is, there are so many people that still don't understand hockey, haven't seen the sport, haven't watched the playoff game, which in my opinion is some of the best sports out there. Is watching a playoff game 7 in hockey is just absolutely wonderful to watch. And I think with the ESPN deal, and hopefully we do get the Olympics here shortly. It sucks that didn't happen this year, but with those things happening, and then you have Ovechkin that's going to break Gretzky's record. Hopefully that's going to create a lot of attention too. So I think the next 2-3 years are pretty good for hockey. And like I said, hockey is it's tough to honestly lose money in if you know what you're doing, because a lot of the cards are cheap to buy, and they're not very volatile because the volume is so low. And like I said, the volume is low not because the interest isn't there and the sales aren't there. The sales are happening. Just a lot of it is happening privately and on Facebook,
right?
Because that's how Canadians transact. And we're starting to learn how to pay over comps. Before, like a lot of people just wanted to pay comps and that's it. So you might have 100 sales of a certain card, but it's going to go for the same price if everyone is in the same method with the same method of buying something is just looking at comps and getting things 10% below comps. The price is never going to go up, but the volume could be there. Like if everyone has PSA 10 Matthews Young Guns at $1,000, there could be 1,000 people buying it, but they're all buying it for $1,000.
Right.
While basketball, there's a little bit more money in it. There's a lot more speculators, investors. The second guy will be like, don't sell it to that guy for $1,000. I'll give it to you for $1,050. The next guy will be like, I'll take it for $1,100. So you don't see that in Canada, but that's not because of a lack of collectability or interest or how much of a foundation foundational base there is in the sport and the collecting in Canada. It's more so just a different environment and ecosystem, and you're starting to see that breakaway action, as you can see with Golden now, where you're seeing the six-figure sales and the record prices on certain cards. And there's a lot of opportunity to find cards that haven't hit auction houses. They're priced at the same prices as they were a year ago. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So to shift gears a little bit, but stay in the same realm, we'll finish off here with two topics that I'm very curious to hear your insight on. One is how you feel the fractional platforms have helped the space, not just in cards, but collectibles. Because again, they have like books, cases of wine, cars, watches, et cetera, et cetera. How you think that has helped or hasn't, based on your view. And another thing that came to mind, listening to kind of how hockey hasn't like taken that jump yet, and also being familiar with like Rally and Otis and collectible, you don't see, I mean, I've seen a Gretzky, maybe like a Bobby Orr, that's about it. Like they don't even have, like all the other sports.
Gretzky rookies, that's all you see, right? You'll see 100 Gretzky rookies before you see anything. We have hockey has the coolest cards. Like if I'll send you some pictures after. Aesthetically, there's some insane looking cards, but yeah, you only see that blue Gretzky rookie. That's it, right?
Right.
That's
yeah.
When people look at it, they think that's all it is. It's just
right. And that's what I was going to say. I think that could go a long way in the hockey market for sure, is getting, like the Crosbys, the Ovechkins, McDavid, like even if it's like they're out of 5, even if you have to go to like that extreme, but I see people on there buying shares of books and cases of wine, and I can't imagine that they wouldn't be interested in buying, like a Crosby out of 99 or an Ovechkin out of 99. And I haven't seen one on any of the sites. Maybe to your point, maybe the people just aren't even interested and they're just holding them. But how do you feel about the fractional sites?
So I'll talk a bit about the hockey portion real quick. I'm going to try to change that. I want to put some big hockey cards into different fractional platforms, and and that's kind of one of the reasons I actually got out of hockey for a couple of years, is because the market was only interested in a few cards. So the Gretzky rookie, there'll be one McDavid, one Crosby, and the desire for a bunch of inserts and subsets wasn't there yet. Everyone only wanted the true rookie card. Right. Okay, so there's only like 4 or 5 cards that people wanted at a certain point. So it got really boring because all you would see is the same cards over and over again. So you're starting to see more volume. And the reason why that happened is because people lock up their cards. So you don't actually see any of them to buy. So you're starting to, because prices are increasing a little bit, you're starting to see cool cards from hockey come out a little bit more. And that's why it's starting to get interesting again, because there's a wide variety of cards that you'll see available. And now it's getting exciting again. And that's to your point. I hope to see a lot more of a range of hockey cards on platforms such as those that you mentioned. And that will bring interest to hockey in general on the platforms. And on the fractional bit, I'm actually a part of a new fractionalization company. It's tokenization. It's called Liquid Marketplace.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You may have seen like Logan Paul is the co-founder in it, and the other founders are good guys from Toronto. They're people I call my friends, Ryan and Amin. They started this innovative project. It's tokenization rather than fractionalization. So you actually buy tokens of these assets on the platform, and there's a secondary marketplace that's open 24/7, and you actually can trade the tokens amongst each other. And we have, as of right now, sports cards. we have NFTs, we have Pokemon cards, and we want to get into the book space, the art space, the
Right.
dinosaur bones, and that kind of thing. And to your point, being on the inside in the liquid marketplace, it's given me a little bit of insight of the type of consumer that's interested in companies like this, and why the industry should actually encourage more people to have a positive vibe towards these companies. A lot of our consumer bases are people that haven't collected before, and they're starting to enjoy collectibles because they're able to get these assets for on our platform 10 cents. So it's accessible for so many different people, and it's getting more people interested in collectibles. And look, we want to share that love for collectibles to everyone. Maybe this person buys a 10-cent token and starts loving the platform and starts at first to try to make money or whatever it is, right? Maybe that's what they're speculating to do. As a platform, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people into collectibles. And if that happens, that's a win for everyone. You want other people to share that experience of enjoying collectibles together. So that tokenization or fractionalization company may result in that person actually getting interested in cards and buying one of your cards down the line on eBay or whatever it is.
Having trouble managing your valuable collection and finding price transparency in the sports card market? Me too. That's why I use CardHedge. CardHedge is a brilliant price analysis and collection management tool. Track all your grades across PSA, CSG, HGA, SGC, BGS, and as well as your raw cards. CardHedge pulls their research from sites like eBay, StarStock, MySlabs, and Golden Auctions. You want an accurate picture of the sports card market? Yeah, me too. With over tens of thousands of cards in their system, CardHedge is the definitive sports card price guide. Quickly search by card, player, or set. Sort by price or percentage change. It has a lot of awesome advanced features. So what are you waiting for? Join today for only $14.99.
So I think that's the pro of these companies. They really do create more opportunities for more people to get involved. And I think every fractionalization company and tokenization company, liquid marketplace, and anyone else, they should really collaborate and synergize and really make everyone understand what these platforms are doing for everyone. Because I think seeing a growth in those platforms and seeing everyone being positive towards these platforms is actually going to help the industry as a whole and the hobby as a whole. And liquid marketplace can provide liquidity for investors. For example, if you have a huge card and you want to liquidate, you can put it on the platform. So that's great for someone that wants to sell one of their cards. So I think that's the pros in these companies. And right now, I think it's new. A lot of people don't understand it yet. Our hobby is a little bit fickle in those things too. We don't like change. Negative feedback gets a lot more clicks, a lot more likes. So that's a lot of the hobby influencers are going the TMZ direction to bring in followers, and it's exciting, it's entertaining, and at the same time it brings people like Drake in, and you have the people that love that and you have the people that hate on that. Oh, why the hell is Drake coming into our hobby? And then we have other guys like myself that's like, Drake's like, I'm from Toronto, it's awesome to see like someone that I remember being in cards 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I was the weird one at a party talking about cards. Now it's people asking me about cards, and now I'm like, I don't want to talk about cards anymore. That's all I do all day. So it went from me wanting to talk to people about cards all the time. Now it's like, stop talking to me about cards all the time. You know what I mean? Right. So it's gone to the point where it's so mainstream. And that's, in my opinion, exciting because that's all we wanted. We wanted innovation in the hobby. And now that the innovation is here, some of us are scared of it, right? And I think it's about accepting it now that this space is going to revolutionize, and we want to welcome all these new businesses such as yourself, CardHedge, and we want as much data as we can get. And I'm like all for all these companies and businesses trying to, make this space special.
Yeah. So that's a perfect segue into the last segment, which is going off the tokenization and the way in which the card market is so slow to like move and innovate. So let's talk about some NFTs. You know, you have an invisible friend as your PFP, so I know that you're hip to it and you understand it.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is that NFTs are going to revolutionize the sports card market.
Mhm.
I think, and obviously it's my gut. I don't have any inside info, but I think Fanatics is going to do something big with NFTs. Um, you know, the past 2 weeks, UFC's been on. Both times I've watched it. Both times while the fights are going on, they're running banner ads for UFC Strike NFTs. They have the announcers talking about them during the fights. I was watching the Red Sox, the Yankees game last night. The entire right field wall in Yankee Stadium is candy, MLB, NFTs. You know, so from that side of it, I think it's inevitable. There's way too much money being put behind it from the leagues now, to where you go to an event, you're not going to leave without seeing NFT or hearing about NFT. And then the point that makes even more sense to me, once, and I think it's an education thing, and this is why I think Fanatics will figure it out, is from the uh, card producer side. So to your point, when you sold off that entire Connor McDavid collection and that whole collection, Upper Deck didn't see a penny of that,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
And it's like, if I'm running these companies and I learn about this technology, I'm never selling a card again that I'm not going to get a
Want
piece
your
of.
royalties, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just not going to happen. So those two things tell me that NFTs are the future of sports cards. Unfortunately, I think the people in sports cards that believe that are slim to none, based on the people I've
That's
spoken
where the
with.
opportunity is, right?
Right.
That's why, like I said, why I like hockey cards is because you don't know much about it and you haven't thought about it. Same thing with NFTs. Look, I have a bunch of Panini Direct NFTs as well. Prism. I opened a bunch of packs, and I'm seeing who's buying the cards, and I know the guys that are buying it are savvy. I know their usernames. I know who they are. Some are posting them on their Instagram and showing off that they're buying it. Some
Right.
are being a little bit sneaky with it. But there are people accumulating those big NFTs. There's guys that bought one-on-ones from me, bought out of it eights, white sparkles, or whatever it is. So the accumulation is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're smart to understand on a business perspective, for a card manufacturer, cards are tough. Like, you gotta find your printer, you gotta make sure the quality control is on deck and on par. You got to make sure the coalition is proper. You got to make sure that the distributors are getting their stuff and they're selling it. They're sending it across the border. They got to sell it to UK now. They got to send it to Asia. The distribution chain is, the supply chain is just so vast and expensive, and shipping is expensive these days. How do you make it frictionless? You
Right.
make NFTs.
Exactly.
The best part of it, I sell the card for an NFT for $1,000. Panini gets 5%.
Right.
Next person sells it for $50,000. Panini gets 5%.
Exactly.
There's no reason for these companies not to invest more into the NFT platform. And look, the NFT technology is actually pretty fantastic. I've always told people this, that NFTs are not just JPEGs. They're
Right.
not proof of ownership. What makes something special is proof of ownership,
Mm-hmm.
right? Scarcity is what makes things special. And just screenshotting something doesn't mean you own it. You can't sell it.
Right.
And the pictures as of right now, the PFPs, of what they're called, this is just an initial use case
Mm-hmm.
for the start of NFTs. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're investing in NFTs, a lot of it is pump and dump. 99.9% are bullshit, run by bullshit people.
Mm-hmm.
But those Bored Apes, that are actually developing large scale companies around their brand. Invisible Friends, CryptoPunks, Azuki, Doodles. Those companies are making millions of dollars, billions of dollars. They're creating brands. These are real big time corporations. They're going to put their money back into this ecosystem. They're going to create TV shows, movies, games, whatever it is, merch, apparel. And people are going to be in the ground floor of it all. There's going to be an attachment to these NFTs like never seen before in society. Like a Bored Ape, the community behind Bored Ape, there will never be any brand in the history of the world that is going to show as much loyalty to the brand of Bored Ape than Bored Ape holders. Imagine being there from the start to now and wherever it's going to go in the future, and you were a part of that rise. They're going to die for it. Like it's going to be that big. And the NFT, the actual technology, is going to be smart contracts. They're going to be used in real estate. They're going to be used for technology to open your door when you're walking in. Your phone's going to have like the lock to your house key or whatever it is, your garage door opener. There's going to be so many use cases where NFT is going to be far past just a JPEG. And right now, people buying NFTs in the non-card space, if they're allocating it into the proper direction and buying historical NFTs that are shown immutably on the blockchain, that they're first, for example, like the V1 CryptoPunks, or there's Bored Apes that are special because of what they built. Those are going to be fantastic. And then you bring it into cards, card manufacturers, and Fanatics 100%. You know Josh Luber's involved. You know he's already testing it out. You know he's using Zero Cool as a way to kind of bridge the gap between cards and NFTs with VFriends. And you're seeing a lot of hate for it. Is there pumping and shilling going on? Of course. But does that mean that the entire concept is going to fail? I think it's prudent to think that it's not going to fail because the money is going to be there and there's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars pointed towards that direction. So I think it's a smart move to understand it, maybe not even put your money in it now, understanding it and just understand the fact that as a business, NFTs make a whole lot of sense. And we're being conditioned as well to it. And this is probably not direct conditioning, but someone like PWCC, Alt, Golden, they've all created digital portfolios. I was one of the first PWCC Vault customers. And I used to have to explain to people every time, like, this is in my PWCC vault. I can't coin this because it's in my vault. Here's a link to my portfolio. This is like 2 years ago. It's crazy that it's only been 2 years because at the start, every single one of my deals, it was a 15-minute dialogue first to explain what the hell this is. My cards are in a vault. There's a picture. It's not in my possession. Oh, it's not in your hand. Like, are you trying to scam me? Like, it's not on hand. But now people are starting to understand, like, people have cards that they don't keep in hand. It's not in your possession. That is a 2-year thing that's happened. It just started. But now people are starting to come to like understanding of it and accepting of it. And now we're starting to understand we don't have to have possession of cards, and we can trade pictures of the cards we have, and it'll go into someone else's vault just in an instant. And that's why I'm so bullish on liquid marketplace as well. People say, okay, why would I buy a token? Well, it's because you're co-owning something that is the same as there's a co-ownership of something that's genuinely attached to a physical asset, and there's genuine actual underlying value to that asset. And you can trade it instantly amongst each other, frictionless, no shipping, no nothing. And it's just an innovative, creative idea that's going to change the world. So it's just one of those things that it's having the vision for what's going to happen in the future. And maybe I'm totally freaking wrong, and we'll see. But I would probably bet on it being that direction. So
yeah, me as well. It's funny because when you look at, so this is how, I came from the sports card world and went into the NFT world. Now I'm highly involved in the NFT world. I work with a few different projects, but it just made so much sense to me coming from the sports card world. And when you talk to people in the sports card world and they're like, blah, 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 it's like, you don't even know how much you're going to love it. Like, you are absolutely going to love this and you don't even know it, you know? So
Yeah.
to the point of like the token, it brings like buying the sports cards to a whole new level. Like, you'll literally see, okay, so the night that the Bengals won the championship to go to the Super Bowl, right? Like, going into that week, you saw like Burrow price action. Then they won that game, and it's like, you know what I mean? But it's like, okay, you gotta, get on, find the card, buy the card, ship the card, get the card, blah blah blah. As opposed to if there was a token. Like, if Joe Burrow had a token, or there was a card on a platform like Liquid Marketplace that has a token where you can just onboard it, offboard it on one click, and it's essentially the same thing as the cards. And
Exactly.
I just, like we keep saying, I think it's an education thing. But also, like, especially in the card market, it's like, we got to hold on to this thing of ours instead of, it's like, but if you want more people to come in, this is what has to happen. It has
I
to
think
be.
I think a lot of people don't want more people to come in, right? Like, and I completely respect the perspective as well. I'm that type of guy. I try to understand like both sides. Like, I do completely get like shit is changing, and like change is tough. It's tough sometimes because something that you enjoy in front of you is changing, and it's like, if you're a muscle car guy, gas price is still so high now, you might be considering electric cars, and you're like,
Right.
damn, like I need to buy an electric car because life is changing. Everyone's going to be self-driving cars, and you love your stick shift, but life is changing. People are going to be eating and driving while you're going to be stick shifting and paying 4x for gas.
Right.
And the point is, you're going to have to adapt, right? Because life is always going to change, and the direction is always going to go towards technology. And technology is going to happen no matter what. That's why Elon Musk is scared of robots, because this stuff, technology is always going to advance. It's always going to get better and better. And this space is now into that area where it's taken notice of big money. And when something is noticed by big money, what happens is progression towards what is suitable in society. And what's suitable in society is advancement in tech.
Right.
And what tech does is it makes things easier. And what makes things easier? Efficiency. How do you get efficient? You go frictionless. What's frictionless? You don't ship stuff anymore. You don't ship stuff because you don't have the returns when Burroughs breaks his leg. I wake up, I see an email. It says your NFT is sold for $5. It's gone. It's never returnable. I didn't do anything other than post it on sale, never touched it, maybe never even seen it. And that's kind of what it's going to be, right? And people will collect it because collectability, who says it has to be anything physical? Mm-hmm. People have been collecting things that are not physical for years. People collect books on Kindle. People collect a lot of things in the virtual world. People collect things on World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Fortnite, skins, kids buying $1,000 skins and $2,000 on NBA 2K14 to get the new shoes that are in the game. Like, kids are used to it already. They're digitally native. Card collecting hobby, it's a little bit older. It's getting younger. Younger guys eventually are going to be the majority demographic. And Fanatics is going to be banking on that because they're going to be taking spot in 2026. And by 2030, which is 8 years from now, the 25-year-olds are going to be 32, and they're going to all understand it. They're going to know what NFTs are. They're going to be the ones making money, and they're not going to be worried about just holding the physical asset. And look, I completely get it. Holding the card is awesome. Looking at the card is completely awesome. And I still think it's going to stick around. But look, I've pro to this all for the physical card collectors. With more attention being paid to NFTs, maybe there's a less supply of physical cards, and maybe
Mhm.
that's good for physical cards. So maybe it's going to actually be great for everyone,
Yep.
because physical card collectors are not going to worry about junk wax era anymore, because now there's going to be catering to both sides. And maybe it's not going to be just oversupply of physical cards and oversupply of NFTs. Maybe it's going to be less supply of both, but there's just a wider range of activity that it makes sense for both all the companies involved to still be profitable. So there is a positive end game to it all, and hopefully everyone can see that one day. And hopefully
Yeah.
I'm right.
Yeah. No, I think I think that was well said. Um, and I agree. Like I think that's where this is going. Um, like there's just so many things that we could just talk about this forever. But
Yeah.
even like the environmental aspects with you see these every corporation right now being pressured to do everything they can to make environmentally conscious decisions. Printing sports cards is not one of them. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's just not. Um, and another thing, like you said, of the amount, the other piece of the tech that the sports card collectors would really like is there's no way to hide the print run now. Like this card, there's this many, you can't erase it. It's on the blockchain. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And again, just going back to the education, I think it is a just knowledge thing. The age thing, like you said, going on that time frame, 8 years from now, the kids like my son will, who's 12, um, and my daughter, who's 7, like they're native to it. They get it. Like my daughter plays Roblox. She's buying digital stuff. My son's been buying digital stuff his whole life. So in 8 years from now, when my son is out of high school, like it's going to be second nature for them.
Do you remember when for us video games, we loved just buying the video game? Like even the cover, the case, like you love that stuff, the collectability of it, you love taking the seal off. I remember the first time PlayStation and Xbox started saying like, oh, we're going to start selling them digitally.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? No one's gonna buy that. Like they're gonna
Yeah.
go with the store to buy the actual one. Like, why would you want a digital version of it? And look at that all. And then it was okay for us putting in $10 into a game. It was like, why would I put in extra money into a game? Fortnite made billions of dollars from
Yeah.
that. So that's it's just we know where it's going. It's just a matter of adapting, right? And you said it best, like your son, like their world is just completely different than us. And it's I think prudent to always stay in touch with the younger generation and what they're doing, because they're smarter than us now. They really are. They're smarter than us when we were at that age, and they're growing a lot faster. And I want to be the 50-year-old that understands what 20-year-olds are doing. So
Right.
that's kind of
Yeah.
what I want to do in the future. So I don't want to be
Exactly.
the one finger typer. You know what I mean? Whatever they have, I want to be just as good as they are at that age. So
Yeah.
I think it's prudent to be that way. So
Yeah. Agreed. Well, look, thank you. We've
yeah,
been
thank you.
going for like an hour. I don't want to take too much time. This was great, and if we don't stop, we're just gonna keep talking NFTs. We're just gonna go on and on and on.
Yeah.
But before we do go, where's the best place where people could, check you out? The different handles that you may have, or the different social media platforms that you're on.
Yeah, first thing I'm going to shout out is Liquid Marketplace. That's our logo right there. We just launched last week. We've already sold out on 2 items, and one actually got bought out completely. A Giannis RPA 3-color BGS 9.5 from the platform. It's been fantastic. So check out liquidmarketplace.io. On Instagram, it's Liquid Marketplace. Also on Twitter. And then me personally, I have the Big Three Hockey. That's my Instagram account. And my buddies and I are also starting a content thing as well, just like a fun little vlogging thing called Slab Sharks. So look out for that as well.
Great. And I will make sure that I put all of those links down in the description for people to check out. I'm excited for the Liquid Marketplace to follow that. I saw the announcement. I really like the idea that it's tokenized. I didn't know that. I thought it was going to be similar in the sense of like buying a share, but buying a token is cool. I'm definitely gonna mess with it and hop on that. You guys, I'm assuming you guys have an app the way that the other platforms do. You can
So
just
right
work
now
with
we're in beta stage, so it's a desktop.
Okay.
But the website is mobile friendly. We're working
it.
to make it as more mobile friendly as well. An app is in development. So it's tokenization on the ERC20 utility token blockchain. So a lot of people are gonna be like, "What is that?" But
Oh,
it's very simple.
so it is. It's plugged. You guys aren't running on like your own little
It's
walled
not.
garden.
It's decentralized, yeah. So you can
Very
take your
cool.
keys out and everything, and that's just a feature to uh, make it native to
Mhm.
how it is in the crypto world. But for others that don't understand the crypto world, it's not scary like that. It's very easy. You just need to know that you're buying a token, and you can use your credit card as well. You can EMT, which is email money transfer if you're in Canada. You can bank wire. You can use crypto as well, so you can onboard with Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, USDC, that kind of thing. But want to stress credit card as well. Very easy. You don't need to have an understanding of crypto at all to use the platform. Um, Literally just an initial coin offering. The coin offering gets sold out. The item gets moved into a secondary marketplace, and that secondary marketplace is 24/7, and it's a pro marketplace. Like there's buy orders, sell orders, and spreads, and you can actually see what's going on. What are people buying? Top 10 owners of each asset if you have one, and yeah, a lot of cool features. And we're gonna make like quests, challenges, really gamify it and make it fun. And the tokens represent a genuine physical asset as well. So it's all backed by a valued physical item, which is cool because you're trading a token that is easy and frictionless, but in a vault, there's something backing it that's very special and that can
Right.
also be valued down the line in a certain way as well. So,
Yeah, for sure. So for anyone who has messed around with the other platforms, I would suggest hopping on and checking it out. And for people that haven't, um, I would definitely suggest hopping on with, especially with like easy onboarding with credit cards and whatnot. That's
and all you
great.
need is 10 cents, which is the best part.
Yeah, that's
Not
good
cost.
stuff.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Karn.
Yeah.
This was
Thanks,
great,
man.
and make sure we stay in touch.
Yeah,
Um,
sure, man.
and thank everybody for checking this out. Again, like I said, we'll put all the links down in the description, so make sure to check those out. Check out Karn and what he has going on, and make sure to come back and just continue rocking with us and checking out the new episodes. Thank you again.